explain is it stands alone. The way to remember it is it's the one that's the same for everybody all the time, regardless of whether you're counting. Okay? We're going to do some more work with independent and dependent variable in the next couple of days. So if you're not totally comfortable with independent and dependent variable yet, have no fear. We're going to have another couple of lessons on it. Okay? Right now, I'm more concerned about domain and range. All right? So the domain is the independent variable, and this is not always the case. It usually is on the x-axis. Now, when I say usually, that's because sometimes people will turn a graph sideways so it looks better. And then the x-axis is, you think it's the horizontal one, but it's not. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Let me give you an example of that. Remember this diagram, or this graph of the dog heights. Right now, this is the x-axis, yes? And this is the independent variable. So this is the domain, right? But wouldn't this graph work just as well if I wrote hound, chihuahua, corgi, lab, shepherd, and put their heights this way? That graph would still work, wouldn't it? And this would still be the independent variable, right? Because a hound is a hound is a hound. Doesn't matter if we're measuring its height, its weight, its eye color, its fur color. It's a hound. So you just have to be aware of that. It's not always on the x-axis, but it usually is. But what it always is the independent variable. Is everyone cool with that? Okay. So that's the x-axis. Now what's the other axis? The y-axis. And on the y-axis, that is usually, that is the range, that is the dependent variable, and that is usually on the y-axis. Usually. If I don't specify, like if it's just a graph like this that's just x and y, this has no titles to the data, then the x is the domain and it is the independent variable. Is everybody good with that? Okay. So now we can see that this black line covers certain part of the x-axis, doesn't it? Right? Now, is there any data that way that's an x value? From there down, is there? No. So what's the very first x or domain value that we have? Is it positive or negative? Negative, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So it's negative 10. Now, is that an open or a closed dot? It's open. It's not colored in. So, do we actually have data for negative 10? Or do we only have data for negative 9.9999999? Negative 999999999. We don't actually have 10, right? So our domain will never equal 10. This line is not needed. These are my x's. And I go up to here, yes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that an open or a closed dot? Closed. So do I actually have data for 14? Yes. So my x's are less than, but also equal to 14. Does everybody understand that? Now, if you weren't here yesterday, that is about the only math thing we did. The rest was vocabulary. Okay? See you, Kaylee. The rest was vocab, and you can get that from the video. This is the only math we did. Do you all see how it works? Notice for domain, I am only caring about the blue line, just the x-axis. Cool? And we learned another way to write this because math guys are lazy. The other way to write this is with a round bracket, because that means we never got to 10. comma, 14 with a square bracket because we got to 14. Everybody cool? Put the lowest number first, highest number second. Easy peasy, yeah? Even if you weren't here, everybody, we're going to practice this today. So if you are reaching forward and almost have it, you're in good shape. Rylan. Pardon me? You do need to know how both work because some textbooks later on will alternate between the two. So I'll make you write one. When we do our practice today, I'm going to give you 2 pages of practice today. One I want you to do this way, one I want you to do this way. Tajir, same question? Of course. Okay. So, now we're done looking at the blue. We're done looking at the domain. Now we're going to look at the range. Remember, the lowest value goes first. So now I'm looking on the red line, right? What is the lowest range value, the lowest y value I can have? It's right here, yes? And that is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Agreed? Open or close dot? Open. So does it actually exist? Does the point negative 10, negative 5 exist on this line? No. Does the point negative 9.99999, comma, negative 4.99999, does that exist? Yes. Good. Okay. So I'm at negative 5, and it isn't included. What am I counting now? Y's. Now, what if I was counting something else, like how much money you make when you're working? Would I put Y there? I would put a $sign or money or pay or whatever it is, right? And it goes up to where? Now, here's where kids screw up. Sometimes you guys stop when you get to the end of the line, right? That's no good. Where do I have to go? To the highest point that the line exists, which is there, yes? Do I make it to there? How do you know I make it to there? Close dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Less than or equal to 7. And then I would write it as not including negative 5, but including 7. Is everybody cool? Everybody can do the basic one, yes? Now there's a couple of weird things that can happen here. So I'm going to use the basic graph that we're already comfortable with. I'm going to make a couple of changes to it. Okay? The first change I'm going to make is this. What does that arrow mean? Keeps going for how long? Forever and ever, yes? So, if I were to take my blue felt and I were to color along the x-axis, I would start here, which we know is negative 10, yes? And how far would I have to go? Forever, yes? So, what does that make the domain? It still starts at negative 10, and negative 10 is still not included. It's still x. What is this going to go up to? Infinity. So I would write less than infinity. Could I ever get to infinity? No, that's why there's no equal sign. Everybody with me? Now, how would I write this one in this form? Round bracket, negative 10, infinity, round bracket. Now, the reason I'm doing this one is because there's a third way that we write these where it never ends. What's the lowest value x can have? Negative 10, right? So we write x is greater than negative 10. That means x is every number bigger than negative 10. Does everybody understand that third way when there's an arrow? Everyone's cool? Now, is that arrow going just to the right, or is that arrow going down? It's going down as well, isn't it? So on the range side, I'm going from here down how far? Forever. So what would we do for that one? How would I write this version. Negative infinity less than, because I'll never get there, y less than or equal to 7. And how would I write it in interval form? Round bracket. Negative infinity up to with a square bracket. Everybody still cool? And how would I write it in that third way that we only use if there's an arrow? Y, not y. Y is less than or equal to 7, and then I'd be done. Because that is every y value as long as it's lower than 7. Is everybody cool? That's the only wrinkle. If there's a little arrow, you got to think about that. Everybody understand? Now, tell me without, I'm not going to write anything down, what if this line now does this? Goes down, then it goes flat. Pretend that's flat. Oh, wait, I didn't go far enough. Where is the infinity? Is it in the domain or is it in the range now? Only in the domain. The range would stop right here now, right? Because it ends. What if it did this? Oop. Does the range stop? No. Does the domain stop? Where? Right there. Does everybody understand? Okay. The only way is to start practicing, all right? Now, listen closely. You already have, as you well know, the answers to the first textbook page. There's a reason I use all of last class for lecture and give you no homework. Because this stuff, if I leave it for homework, no one's going to do it. And you really need to go on with this. You need to understand this basic stuff. So I would like for everyone to have a look at page 148. Remember, I have the answers. You can check them. But take the next 5 minutes and try a few from page 148. And then we'll talk about them. Okay? Everybody good? You can work together, but work. Yes. You need what? You need to do your test. Okay. I do not think I have a spare copy. Let's have you do it tomorrow while I go over it. Okay? Because I don't think I'm going to get these marked today.
Mr. Myers, can I go to the learning center?
If you wish, but we're going to be doing more stuff. Stay cool. All right. Which are functions? If it's going to be a function, then every x has to equal how many y's? Only 1. So x, when x is 1, are there any other x's that are 1? No. So 1 is always 3. X is 2. Any other 2's? So 2 is always 6. Any other 3's? Any other 4's? So is this a function? Yes. Function. And what is its domain and range? The domain are all the x's. The range are all the y's. Can I do the arrow thing? Or do I have to list them here? I have to list them because it's points. It's not a line. Everybody understands? So the domain is 1, 2, 3, 4. I cannot do the arrow thing because it's a series of dots on the graph. It's not a line. Everybody cool? And then the y's are, of course, 3, 6, 9, 12. Right? Okay. What about B? It's a relation. Why? When x is 0, it could be 1, or when x 0 could be negative 1. Two different outputs for the input of 0. So this B is a relation. What's the domain? 1. No, not 1. What should I start with? -1, 0, 1. That's the domain. And I'll do the range in red. What's the range? -1, 0, 1. All right. Everybody is good? Okay. What about C? Function or relation? Function. Good. And we can do the domain and range now, right? All right. Nathan. That's that less than 7, less than 9. That thing. And what about D? Relation. Why? Other way around. Start with the x's. 0 can be 1, 2, or 3. And 1 can be 2, 3. So that is definitely a relation, right? Good. Are people done number 8? Can we talk about them? Pardon? We're done 8? Not quite? Okay, do 8. It's the same thing as 5. It shouldn't take very long. Okay. First one. Function. Yes. Yes, when they're written like this. Yes. Because the domains are the x's. So the first one is a function because we can see that it is. And the domain is, which I will do in blue, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's the range, which I'll do in red? 1, 8, 27, 64. Good. What about B? Relation. Why? 4 threes. So the domain is what? 3. That's it. What's the range? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yay! Good job, everyone. Are we good with 9 yet? Or do we need a moment with it still? Need a moment? Take a moment. I got moments to give. Yo. Yeah? You write the smallest number first, always. Well, that's, why do you know it's a function? All right, let's talk about that first one. This is a function. Why? Nathan. Right. Every domain value gets me a unique range value. Right? Every input gets me a unique output. That's why it's a function. Which is independent, which is dependent? Rylan.
Dependent is the cost and then independent is
The dV is the cost, the IV is the cans. Right? Because when I go into Safeway, if I go into Safeway to buy a can of juice, and I don't buy a can of juice, do I owe them any money? No. If I'm only buying juice, the money I owe them depends on how much juice I buy. Right? Could I spend $2.39 in Safeway and not buy juice? Right. But you wouldn't know what I bought. Everybody understands? Excellent. And write the domain and range. Okay. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Or is it 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 6? Is it A or B? It is A. Why?
because they're already all in order. No, because you don't put them like brackets.
No. Why is it A? Tajveer is right. It is the domain. You're absolutely right. Can I buy... Oh, Gurjat, what? No, okay. Nathan?
That is always the same when you buy, I guess, multipliers.
Not quite.
How much you spend?
Not quite. Can I input 1.5 cans? No. Is 1.5 between 1 and 6?
Yeah.
Yes. So I cannot use this one because I can't have an input that's a fraction. Does everybody understand that? That's why it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So what then is my range? 2.39, 4, 6.39, right? I cannot go 239 up to 12, right? Everybody understand? Okay, good. And, we've just done the domain range. All right, next, altitude and temperature. Why is it a function? No numbers are the same. At every altitude, I have a different temperature, right? Easy peasy. Okay. What was the next question? Oh, which is the IV, which is the DV?
Same thing.
The altitude is the domain, so that makes it the independent or dependent variable, Tajveer? Independent. Absolutely right. The IV. Because right now, we're at an altitude, aren't we? Right? And there's temperature outside, agreed? If we go to the top of Mount Baker, would we still have an altitude? Why has the temperature changed? Because we went up to the top of Mount Baker, right? Everybody understand? Okay, so there's my IV, there's my DV. Now, DV. What is the range? All right, what is the domain?
600
Is it 610, 1220, 1830, and so on? Or is it 610 less than or equal to x, which wouldn't be x, it would be altitude, less than or equal to 3,660. Would it be A or B this time? Ooh, argument, my favorite. Which is it? How many people are in the A camp? A. Hell yeah, you're strong. You didn't even look back. No, Satcho joined you.
What size is that?
How many people are in the B camp? How many people are too scared to put up their hand? It's B. Why? Nathan. There are altitudes in between there, isn't there? You could input anything. right? So that's why for this one, it's B. Everybody understand? So what would the range? What's the range?
15.
No. Start with the smallest one.
Negative 4.8.
Negative 4.8, less than or equal to?
15. 8.
What goes here? T for temperature,
Less than 15.
less than or equal to 15.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, stop it! You're going to make me cry. All right, little more practice. Do you need to do all of them? No. Do you think you got it when it's just dots? Okay, so maybe you don't even do number 4. You just look at the answer. You think, oh, that would be a list of them. I'm going to look at the answer. Oh, it is a list. I'm good. Right? But there's some weird ones here, yes? Have a look at some weird ones. Go. If you better not be looking at me. I only look at X. So I start there. What's that value? 1. Do I actually hit 1? Yeah, because it's a closed dot. How far up does it go? 4. Do I hit 4? So which one of these has a domain of 1 to 4? Right there. That is A. Everybody cool? I don't even need to check the range because it's the only one with the right domain. Everybody understand? All right. So let's look at B. Where do I start on domain? 1 up to 3. Do I hit both?
Yeah.
All right, so it could be 1 or 2, right? So we got to check the range. Where do I look for range? On the Y value. What's the lowest Y value? 2. What does it go up to? 4. So which is it? First one. There's B. Agreed? Okay. What about C? 1 to 3. So we know it has to be 2, right? Okay. And what about D? We know D is 3, but I want to talk about it, and this is where this comes in for you, Jacqueline, showing stuff on the graph, right? The only Y value is 2. Y equals 2. So that's our range. But notice I have no dot here, right? That means that line goes forever. So X is greater than or equal to 0. Because every X value is going to be bigger than 0. Would I ever have this line over here somewhere? Where X's are negative. But it starts right there with the dot. Everybody understand? Okay. Did we do 8 yet? Kinda? Like, have we done a couple of them? Let's look at A. Is A a function? Yes, because no matter where I draw that line, how many times do I hit the squiggly one? Just once. So A is a function. Right? What's the domain and range? Are there any dots? No. So how far that way is it going to go? Forever. And how far that way is it going to go? Forever. So there's lots of ways to write this as a right answer. Okay? We could do the negative infinity arrow, X, positive infinity. We could write round bracket, negative infinity, round bracket, positive infinity. Or there's another way to write it, X, and then this funky E, and then a big R. That means X is all the real numbers. Because no matter what I put in for X, I'm going to get a value. Everybody understand? What's the range? Oh, shoot, I should have done that in blue. What's the range? What's the lowest Y value I have? Y value. 1. What's the highest Y value I have? 3. Right? So it's 1 less than or equal to Y less than or equal to 3. Or square bracket 1, square bracket 3. I think they use this version in the answers. Is this a function? No. Yes, 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 yes. No. Because I hit the graph more than once. Everybody understand? So this is a relation. But I can still do a domain and range. What's my lowest x value? -3. Close dot, so I hit it, right? Less than or equal to x. And what's my highest? 1. Less than or equal to 1. What's my range? What's my lowest y value? -1. Does it ever stop? No, because there's no dot. So -1 is less than or equal to y. Or the better way that we would write that would be y is greater than or equal to -1. But I would accept both of them. But you'll notice in the answers, they like to have the y first. Everybody cool? Everybody good? All right, you try 8, C, and D. And E. Because I bet nobody's gone that far yet. For C, can I use the arrows? No, it's got to be a list. Why? Because it's dots. Is there any x value right there? Is there an output at that x value? No. All right, so is it a function first?
No.
It's a relation because of right there, yes? Okay, good. Now, what's the domain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the range? 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody cool? All right, D. Function. How many times does the line hit? Once only. So this is a function. Don't want to write FU there. What's the range, or the domain? -2. Do I hit -2, Helia? Yep. So it's less than or equal to. Is there a dot here? No. So what does it go up to? Infinity. So -2 is less than x. But we don't like to have the x there. So how should I really write this? X is less than? Greater than or equal to -2. And what's the range? What's my lowest range? 2. Less than or equal to y. And what do I go up to? Less than or equal to 4. Everybody got it? Okay, what about E? Function or relation? Relation. Why? Right there I hit twice, right? So if I were to go to x equals 1, I would have a y value there and a y value there. 2 different outputs for an input of 1, so I'm screwed, right? Okay, what's the domain? What's the lowest domain I have? No, there's no dot there. Infinity. And what's the biggest domain I have? 2. So x is less than or equal to 2. Is the letter first? So are we happy? Yes. What's the range? What's my lowest range? 1. 1, less than or equal to y. And what does it go up to? Do I hit 5?
Yes.
How do you know I hit 5?
There's a dot.
Because there's a shaded dot. Everybody got it? It's pretty easy, right? It's just looking at the graph. The hardest thing is these arrows, isn't it? Right? Okay, number 9. You haven't seen something written this way. That's okay, though, because you have a graph to work with, right? So what do you notice is happening to these lines? They're going to be infinite. In which directions? Only up on range. And what about domain? It started right here and it's spreading out, right? How far is it going to spread out? Infinity this way. So what did I tell you is the way we write when it's every single number ever? X, fancy ER. And what's our range?
1.
Y is greater than or less than 1? Greater than or equal to 1 because it's going up. How far will it go up? Forever. Is 100,000 greater than 1? Will this line eventually go up to 100,000? Yeah, if I draw it all the way over to Mill Lake, but it will work, right? Nathan, is your hand up or are you just chilling? But it goes right through. You can see that it goes through it. All right, what about B? Is it a function? Yeah, we already know that. What's the domain? -3. Do I hit -3? X, and what do I go up to? +3. Nice. What's the range? 0, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 3. Okay, what about C?
There's no dot.
There's no dot where? I got dots there. That's why I zoomed in. But if you didn't zoom in, then you would just make it to go to infinity, right? You know what you're doing. What's this one? Yep, it's a function. What's my range? Or my domain? -3, less than or equal to x to +3. And what's my range? -3, because the lowest one's first. Less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 0. What's this one? Still a function. -1, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 2. And range? No. 0, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 3. Now, if I wanted interval notation, all of these are less than or equal to, right? So would they all be square or round bracket? Square. And the first number would be first, and the second number would be second. So this would be -1, comma 2. This would be what? 3. Right? You're gonna use both. What if this dot? What if this dot? What if that dot was open? How would this change? This would be what? Just less than, and this would be a round bracket. Would it change the domain? Sure it would. That point is now not really there. So what would this be? It would be less than 2, and this would be a round bracket. Is everybody good? Okay, now, this next page is an assignment. All right, now, please look at it. For the most part, it's pretty easy to see. Everything on this top page, all the 1, 2, and 3 are closed dots, and this arrow goes flat right there. This is going to be what you're going to work on for the rest of the period in homework. Yes. Everybody cool? Now, for this page, for review 1, I want you to use the brackets. Okay? Everybody cool? Now let's go down to the second part. All of these I want to be closed brackets or closed dots. So number 4 might look like it's filled in or open. Please fill it in. And number 5, again, goes flat. Is everybody cool with page 1? Yep, okay. Go on to page 2. Number 1, all closed dots. Number 2, this one on the y-axis is an open dot. Everybody okay? Number 3, does that arrow show up in your printing or does it look like a dot? That's supposed to be an arrow. Everybody cool? Okay. And this one has 3 closed dot or open dots. And 2 arrows. And number 5 has 1 open dot up at the top here. And on this page, I want you to use number less than x less than number. I want you to use set notation. Is everybody good? 6 questions for homework. You have 10 minutes left, and everybody seems to get what they're doing. Tajvir. The open dot means it doesn't count. So, let me show you what I mean. If this dot was colored in, right, then that point is 1, 6. Agreed? But because it's open, the actual point 1, 6 doesn't exist. But 0.9999 and 5.999 does exist. We almost get up to it in both directions, but we don't actually touch it. Okay? That's what an open dot means. Pardon me? That's the less than or less than and equal to. It can't equal an open dot. Pardon me? No, because if you have less than or equal to, you use a square bracket. If you have less than, you use a round bracket. Well, you can't use the list on any of these except one of them. There's only one on here where you can do the list. Only the one with dots. If there's a line, you have to use either this or brackets. Okay?